So, good evening once again to all the members and all the participants. I welcome you on behalf of Madras Tax Bar. Today we have Honorable Mr. Justice Binod Kumar Sharma, retired judge of the Punjab and Haryana High Court and the Madras High Court, who will be taking this session. So before I call upon APS sir to welcome him, I would just like to state that we will be having the usual question answer round also at the end of the talk, where you can, if you have any questions or queries, you can raise your hands in the app or you can use the chat box, and we will take up as many questions as possible. And I request all the participants to kindly confine your questions to the topic. Thank you once again for joining us.
To everybody, let me say it is my pleasure to see all of you again after so many years. The first point, let me tell, how I got interest in the writ was when I came here to Chandigarh on the very first day. This city was new to me because I was not knowing anybody. I had come from Nagpur. So I got a reference of an advocate and went with him to High Court. He was filing two cases. They were writ petitions regarding enhancement of market fee by the market committee. When I read the writ petition, I went into shock because I had come from law college recently. I found that there was provisions of the Punjab Market Committee Produce Act, Contract Act, the Constitution, the other. I thought it must be too difficult to mix up. But then by advised by other colleagues that you be with a senior for 15 days, then everything will be comfortable. So this is how I started practice in High Court, and my main practice was the writ jurisdiction only, though I had done some criminal and other matters also. In order to understand what the writ petition is, I would like to first read Article 226 of the Constitution of India. It says, notwithstanding anything in Article 32, because Article 32 of the Constitution also deals with the writ which are issued by the Supreme Court. The difference is that under Article 32, the writ can be issued only for fundamental rights and for no other subject. Every High Court shall have power throughout the territories in relation to which it exercises jurisdiction to issue to any person or authority, including in appropriate cases any government, within those territory directions, order or writs, including writs in the nature of habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, quo warranto, and certiorari. So with respect to the jurisdiction of the High Court, these 5 types of writ can be issued to render substantial justice to a party concerned. So if we go one by one, the first writ which can be issued is in the nature of habeas corpus, which is in fact a criminal writ. All other writs are of the civil nature, but writ of habeas corpus is a criminal writ. The writ can be issued if some person is illegally detained by the police or any person against his wishes. Then a party, his next friend, any person who knows the facts of the case and known to that person, can come to the High Court, file a writ petition asking the High Court for production of that person detained for being produced in the High Court and set at liberty. In the case of habeas corpus writ petition, it is a duty of the High Court to immediately entertain the writ petition. The writ petition is entertained on a priority basis, and it is taken up the moment you file. Once you file the writ petition, it is taken up and the High Court immediately appoints a warrant officer who is authorized to go and raid the place where the person suspected to be detained, whether it is police station or somebody's house. And if he is found in illegal detention, then he can be produced before the court and left at liberty. And the liberty is also given to such person to prosecute the person who was illegally detaining that person against his wishes. So this is all about habeas corpus petition, which the High Court exercises to keep basically to keep check on the police in doing, because normally you would find in some of the cases police detains a person much earlier to showing his arrest so that they can complete the investigation, etc. So this writ can be used for that purpose. The second writ petition is mandamus, which is most popular in Madras, because in Madras I found every writ is a writ of mandamus. Writ of mandamus is in the nature of a direction to the authorities or the state government to do a particular act. The writ of mandamus can be issued if you have some right, legal right, fundamental right or legal right or any right which is enforceable in law, and there is also corresponding obligation on the state or that authority to do that and to give you that relief, but they don't do it, then the procedure to be followed is that you have to raise a writ of demand, asking that authority to give it. Once that authority does not act or grant you the relief asked for, you can come to the High Court and seek a writ in the nature of mandamus for seeking direction to the state government to give you the necessary relief to which you are entitled to. Then comes a writ of prohibition. Writ of prohibition is more like a suit of injunction type, where your any legal or fundamental right is going to be affected, and you know authority or state government is going to, because sometimes what happens is, like land acquisition you can take, for example, land acquisition matters. There is a procedure prescribed that you have to issue section 4, section 6 notification or urgent provisions. But if without doing that, the government or any authority which is legal is trying to act, then you can always come to the High Court, seek a writ of prohibition. The order would be passed by the High Court restraining that authority from acting in a manner which is illegal and protect the right of that person. Then comes writ of quo warranto. Quo warranto is a writ which is issued to a person who is holding a public office to which he is not entitled to. Supposing state government in exercise of arbitrary powers appoint a person to a post which he is not entitled to or not qualified to hold, then you can come to High Court and seek a writ of quo warranto, asking that person to show cause under what authority of law is he holding that post. If the High Court comes to the conclusion that he is not qualified or his appointment is not in accordance with law, or he was not entitled to hold that post, then a writ in the nature of quo warranto can be issued, asking him to immediately vacate that office. So then we come to last writ, that is writ of certiorari. Most popular writ for which you go to High Court is writ of mandamus and writ of certiorari. Certiorari is a writ where you challenge an order, or order passed by order or tribunal order or a quasi-judicial order, which you find is against the constitutional provisions of law, like in a service matter, supposing it is contrary to Article 311, or it is violative of some provisions of service law, or it is arbitrary, violative of principle of natural justice. So when it is violates article, then it is called being arbitrary. Thus Article 14 and 16 is attracted when there is discrimination. So for challenging any order which affects your legal or fundamental right and is not supportable by law, you can come to the High Court to seek the writ in the nature of certiorari, and then the High Court, after giving opportunity to the other party, would pass an order quashing that order, and at the same time can also issue a writ in the nature of mandamus directing them as to how to proceed further. So in the same writ, there can be prayer for writ in the nature of mandamus and certiorari both. And that is why certified mandamus is very common in Madras High Court. So this power under Article 226, you have noticed, is very wide and does not control the High Court in exercise of this power. But then there have been such principles which have been set up by the Supreme Court imposing self-constraints on the High Court to exercise those powers. The first limitation by the High Court to exercise such power would be that the High Court should not act as a court of appeal to correct mere error of law and facts. It has to give a substantial justice. It can correct the process of law, but not the judgment by minor irregularities or which is otherwise possibility of being accepted too. And secondly, the High Court will also not interfere when there is an alternative remedy available to the person concerned, like a statutory appeal, or the remedy can be taken in civil suit when there is a disputed question of law and facts involved, which will require evidence, because the High Court in 226 does not go and take evidence. The cases are decided on admitted facts. So therefore, in that case also, when the High Court finds that there is an alternative remedy available to the person, which is a statutory remedy, then High Court refuses to interfere. Let me repeat it at the same time that this is not absolute bar. Supposing High Court in a given circumstances find that order is absolutely wrong, which is not sustainable in law, in that event the High Court can interfere and they can set aside particular order without taking those recourse to. So like earlier I have already said, that these are self-constrained restrictions imposed by the High Court and Supreme Court by different precedent of their own. There is no such bar in the Constitution in exercise of such power. So again, in the exercise of writ jurisdiction, the High Court cannot go into disputed question of facts where evidence is required. So therefore, it is only while drafting a writ, we have to be very careful that we have to mention those facts which are admitted facts, and they lead to a conclusion which will entitle you to relief. And secondly, the second is that High Court does not interfere with the merits decided by authorities, except when it is actuated with malafide, extraneous consideration, or it is in contravention of principle of natural justice, or it violates any constitutional provision, then the High Court does interfere, even with the matters where the authorities is fully competent to take a decision, but the High Court would see that such decision is not actuated with any malefits or for extraneous consideration. So it is nature of supervisory power to see that the officials and authorities, including state government, act fairly in taking the decision. So this is what restrains. So once a person is filing a writ, he has to take into consideration these facts so that limitation does not come. And one more important aspect is also that though there is no limitation prescribed under Article 226, in normal circumstances, delay and laches in approaching the High Court can also be one of the ground for the High Court to refuse to interfere in the order, though the order may be wrong. But again, it is made clear that there are cases where the High Court, finding that the order was totally without jurisdiction against the fundamental right to arbitrary, where they have interfered even after 10 years or 15 years. And in some of the cases, when there is a continuing cause of action, like somebody has been denied pension for about 8 years back, he can still come to challenge that order, saying that it is recurring cause of action because he is getting the cause of action every month when the pension is denied to him. So this is the limitation and the powers of the High Court. Now we come to that what should be the pleadings. The pleadings must be in concise form and must disclose the facts clearly in the writ petition with the legal provisions and the rights flowing from them. The purpose of this is the clear pleading is that the respondent should also get a chance to answer your claim. This will avoid any disputed question of law being raised. One and the foremost principle which has to be followed is that the exercise of writ jurisdiction by the High Court is a discretionary equitable remedy. Therefore, duty is cast on the petitioner to come to court with clean hands and not conceal any facts or suppress any facts from the court, and should be honest, because even if you have a good case, if it is pointed out that there is a suppression of some fact, material facts, or there has been an attempt to overreach the court, then the court normally dismisses such cases without any further order going into this. The best way of pleading is that you make chronicle order of the dates of the events, then read the facts particularly, like if you are filing a writ of seeking challenge to your dismissal or termination, then the proper fact would be that when you joined the service, at what stage you were charge sheeted, what were the charges, what was the reply given, how was the evidence led, where was, then after reading all these facts and adding an excess of each and every fact what you are pleading, then you have to point out therein that what was illegality, where was the principle of natural justice violated, or in the proceeding where was a particular law violated, or where was any provisions of service law violated, so that you are clearly understanding, and then you come to the order and find what is the difficulty with the order, then what happened in appeal, what happened in revision, because after you exhaust all the remedy, you can come to the High Court. Then High Court will interfere. So but the pleading should be concise and not confusing, because it gives opportunity to the respondent to also make such pleadings which will create confusion, and thereby an attempt can be made to defeat even a good case, which is otherwise very good. So this is all about pleading. Now we can go to question. Any question you want to know, and my friend told that it should be only relevant with the subject. I would give a liberty to ask any other question, but I avoid asking tax matters because that is not my subject.
Thank you, sir. So the platform is for the participants. If you have any queries, you can raise your hands in the app, or you can put in your queries in the chat box. So first, I'll unmute Mr. V.S. Jayakumar, sir. Jayakumar, sir. Jayakumar, sir. Sir, we are not able to hear you, sir. Your audio is not clear. No, sir. I will just check again, sir. I will come back to you again, sir. Thank you. Is there any other questions? I'll call Satish Sundar, sir. Or before that, I'll go with Swaminathan, sir, and then I will unmute Mr. Satish Sundar. Swaminathan, sir.
Yeah. Lordship, my question is, if I have to file a writ petition to challenge the constitutional validity of a section or something, whether I should be an affected person or any person can file a writ petition? Prithvi, just unmute him. Your Lordship, unmute yourself, my lord.
No,
Okay.
yes.
Yes.
See, in order to challenge the constitutional validity of an act, you have to be, because you have to be some way concerned, because High Court does not entertain purely academic writ petitions. So you have to show what interest you have got in a matter on connection, unless you want to go in PIL. Because if you want to file public interest litigation,
That's
to
what my second question.
challenge the particular provision of act which you are not directly concerned, then you can file it as a PIL, but not as a petitioner.
That's why if I am not an affected person, I have to go only by pill.
Then you will have to go by pill. Because there is also a law that High Court cannot issue only academic decisions. Because if you are not concerned with the case, so for you and for court it becomes academic. Because what relief he has to give? Nothing. You get nothing, because normally it is the person who is affected by that section would come and challenge the validity of section, and thereby High Court, by holding that this act is versus the Constitution, will set aside that order
Great.
and give him relief. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, I would like to ask a query, sir.
Please.
If I may, sir.
You, sir, please, you are welcome.
Yes. Sir, why is that, sir, in few courts, when we file a writ petition, it comes before a single bench, and sometimes it directly comes before a division bench. So what is the basis for that classification, sir?
That is the rules made by the High Court. Because
Okay,
what happens is that some of the High Court, because earlier in the High Court of Punjab and Haryana, all writs used to go to division bench. After they were admitted, they used to go to single bench.
Okay.
And then appeal would lie to division bench.
All right.
So the High Court modified the rules, and they said that it will go to single judge only. But when there is some matter challenging like constitutional validity,
yes, sir,
or something very important, which will positively go in appeal, So the rules are made in such a way that those writs will directly go to division bench. But this is purely discretion of High Court to make such rules. There is nothing in the constitution that where that will go. This is internal arrangement.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, next I will unmute Satish Sundar, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I have a small doubt.
Yes, please.
Sometimes when the orders of tribunals are being challenged by way of writ petition, we make the tribunals also a party to the writ petition.
Yes.
But in some courts, they specifically say that you cannot make the tribunals a party. The decision can be impeached. What is your take on that?
No, they have to be made party. Tribunal has to be made party for two reasons. Though tribunal will not contest the case, but tribunal has to be party because they have to have notice of the order of what is happening in High Court. And once a decision is taken, that order also goes from High Court to the tribunal. So the tribunal is a necessary party. In any case, proper party. I would not agree with that point that tribunal should not be made party. Tribunal has to be a party.
But there's one more doubt also which has been lurking in my mind for long. I just want to know what is the difference between Article 226 remedy and an Article 227 remedy? Because in a number of cases, we in a number of other high courts other than Madras, we invoke 226 and 227 for writs. But whereas in Chennai, we just confine ourselves to 226. Can you just elucidate on that? Thank you.
That is, in fact, 226 and 227 writing of this, basically it is invoking of 226. Under Article 227, that is a power of superintendence given to the High Court over the tribunal, that they have to see, and that power, though earlier it was considered to be very limited, but by judgment of the Supreme Court, they have made it very vast. Under Article 227, normally it deals with the tribunals and subordinate courts, etc., where the High Court can see that they remain within their limitations. So it is more in the nature of superintendence. And because it is equitable, so even in Punjab and Haryana High Court, we write 226 and 227 of the Constitution of India, that if court feels that there is a patent irregularity in their conduct, then the same power under 227 can also be invoked. Normally 227 power is invoked as a revision jurisdiction. Revisional jurisdiction, not writ jurisdiction. When you challenge certain orders of the subordinate tribunals by way of revision, then you come under 227.
Thank you very much, sir.
Sir, I think Mr. Jayakumar has fixed his mic. I'll go with him again. Jayakumar, sir, you're already on unmute mode. Jayakumar, sir, I'm still not able to hear you. Jayakumar, sir, you do one thing. You disconnect your audio from Zoom and again reconnect. I think it should work then. So till you do that, I'll go to the next question. So there is one query in the chat box which I received. So there is one law student who has this question. So there is a student council in a university which may or may not be registered also, who want to file a writ against the college for conducting exams during COVID-19. They are also charging rupees 500 to be deposited in one of their trust accounts for conducting online exams.
Right.
How do we challenge it? Can we challenge this by way of a writ, sir?
Writ they can always challenge, but they cannot challenge as a council, unregistered council. Either all the members have to challenge, or any member of that body or 2-3 members can challenge.
Okay.
The relief they will be getting, they can say though that we are filing it in representative capacity on behalf of all the affected persons, but they will not be able to file in the name of the council, because it is only recognized bodies which are legal entities registered in India or Indian citizen which can challenge. So it will not be possible for them to challenge the decision as an unrecognized council or body of the person.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Sir, there is one more question from my friend, Mr. Nitin Chopra. Actually, he's having some connectivity issues, so he's not able to use the mic. But I'll read out his question for you, sir.
Please.
His question is, what sort of matters can bypass writ appeal and directly go to Supreme Court?
No matter, because if you go high, the Supreme Court will send it back to you that you have an alternative remedy, go there first.
But what if, yes, sir, I'm sorry, sir. So, but what if the writ petition is already decided by a division bench?
Then he has to go to Supreme Court only, there is no question.
Okay, sir.
It can't go to High Court again in appeal because there is no appeal against division bench.
True,
Division bench order, that was the difficulty why High Court changed to single judge. Because what was happening is that if a case is dismissed in limine, then a person had to go to Supreme Court. But if it is admitted and decided by single judge, the remedy was in the same High Court or the same writ.
Correct.
So this was that reason that any decision of division bench has to go to Supreme Court only. Because then there is no remedy of appeal available in High Court.
Yes, sir. Sir, I think Mr. Jayakumar sir is back. I'll again try to go to him.
Please.
Yeah, is okay?
Yes, sir.
My lord, I kindly control the delay.
No, delay is already condoned. You don't have to.
So the fundamental question is, if I'm questioning an authority of a person, the nature of writs available to me is certiorari and writ of prohibition or certiorarified mandamus, etc. Should I also have the prayer, writ of prohibition as part of the prayer? I'm questioning the jurisdiction, not the order.
No, if you are questioning the jurisdiction of an order, no, you're not asking the jurisdiction of question. I don't get you. If you don't challenge the order, then
Both. I'm challenging the order.
If you order, it will be writ of certiorari.
Correct. But see, Madras High Court, Justice Patanjali Shastri earlier in 1950 said, he only coined the word called certiorarified mandamus. It was always called only certiorari or a mandamus. So certiorarified mandamus was a judge-made law. Now, when it comes to prohibition, I don't want the officer to implement it, whether you give me stay or not. If I move a writ of prohibition, that protects my rights. So should I file a prayer also? Should I file two writs or one writ?
See, unless without prayer, what you will get, but High Court can modify the prayer, but once you file a writ of prohibition, you will seek a prayer that he should be prohibited from proceeding further. Like if you want to stall the proceedings of an authority, which is statutory in nature, and for want of jurisdiction, you can come to High Court and say, restrain him from proceeding further with the matter.
Because some judges says you can't come under prohibition, come under certiorarified mandamus. So should I file two writs or three writs?
No, it will be only one writ.
With three prayers.
You can make two prayers. To make two prayers that I want a writ of certiorari and mandamus.
Okay, this is one doubt.
Certiorari and stay proceeding further. By way of interim relief, you can ask for stay.
And sir, another second doubt is, if I'm filing a quo warranto, should I have to suffer first and ask for a quo warranto? Or should I straight up go for a quo warranto?
No, quo warranto can be filed by anybody.
Anybody without suffering?
So even if he's not suffering, anybody can file.
Sir, just now Mr. Swaminathan said, to come to the constitutional validity, you must have some cause. Here I don't have a cause.
No. In case of quo warranto, you don't need a cause.
I say.
In other cases, supposing you are challenging the validity of an act.
Yes.
Then locus is required to, that reason is like I explained to the earlier person who was asking me question.
Yes.
That if you are challenging the virus of an act with which you are not affected.
Yes.
Then it becomes academic.
Yes.
The High Court does not deal in academics.
Yes.
It has to result in some consequential relief to you.
Yes.
So if you are only wanting academic and you want certain orders or provisions which are affecting public at large, you can go in PIL.
Yes.
For that, you don't have to show your locus. Similarly, for a writ of quo warranto, any citizen of India can challenge Because the grievance is that a person is holding an office of authority under the state to which he is not entitled to hold. So
Yes, sir.
for that, any person can come, irrespective whether he has any locus or not.
Yes, sir. The next doubt is there are some high courts have got a peculiarity. If a single judge passes an order and I go on a writ appeal, they also make the single judge a party. Very embarrassing. It's
No,
there in Kerala High Court.
the single judge is not made a party.
No, in Kerala High Court, for example, it used to be the practice. You have to mention the name of the judge also.
No,
So now they don't do it.
Judge name is mentioned at the top. That we here it is called not writ appeal in Punjab. It is called letters patent appeal.
Correct.
So what
LPA.
we write a letters patent under clause 10 of
15.
against order passed by Honorable Mr. Justice such and such, dated such and such, in writ petition number such and such. But he is not a party.
No, in Kerala High Court, because I'm talking about 15 years ago, they said you have not made a judge a party. I said, what are you talking? He said, no, you must make the forum or the judge as a party. So now I think they have dispensed with that.
They have to be, this was not done because the High Court judge is itself a court.
It's a court.
You are challenging a court. No, you cannot. But yes, you have to make him a party if you allege mala fide. See, if you say,
Or quo warranto.
if you say, no, quo warranto. If you say this judge has not acted fairly and he has acted with mala fide intention because he is known to that party, if you are making personal allegations of malafide against anybody, whether it is chief minister, judge or chief justice or anybody, then he has to be made party by name.
I see. Okay.
It is only case of malafide allegation, so that
Yes,
he
sir.
gets an opportunity to deny.
Yes. One more case in the Calcutta High Court. What they do is every day you could go before any judge and say, are you going to admit my case? If he says, I'll admit it, then it gets numbered. If he says, I'm not admitting, I can go to another judge immediately. Is this practice still there? Any idea?
No, it is gone. Now stopped.
I see.
When my friend was chief justice there, Mr. Patel, he stopped it.
But there's a very interesting approach. I can go
Yes.
to any court I want and ask him.
Yeah.
Last thing, sir.
They were justifying. You know, we asked this question to Siddharth Shankar Ray once. He
Yes.
was there in Punjab and Haryana High Court as governor.
Yes.
We asked him this practice.
Yes.
He says, why not? A person is entitled to get relief. Why he should not try?
In any court. Lastly,
That's a wrong practice. I will not say it was a good practice, but now it is stopped. Now it is not there.
lastly, if I have a choice to go out on Article 32 or Article 226, which will you advise?
2 to 6.
Why not 32? Sir?
32 is only limited to fundamental rights, sir.
Even then, I may have a grievance later on.
No, then you will have to come back to High Court again. So why not come to High Court, get the matter adjudicated and go to Supreme Court? Because in High Court, you can not only go on fundamental right, you can go on error of law, violation of statutory provision, violation of rules and regulations, violation of procedure, non-application of mind, all type of grounds you can take.
But I can get Article 142 directly there in Supreme
Then
Court.
you will go under 142 to challenge that. If you go under 32,
I can get 142.
your writ will be limited to fundamental rights only.
But
If
I'll
you
get a
get
relief
any
under
court-
142, under Article 142.
Yes, under 42, sir, you will file SLP against the order of the High Court. That's good enough.
no,
you
sir,
can
no, sir.
challenge it. There
A
you
small
can challenge
correction.
everything.
Under Article 141, any law laid down by Supreme Court is a law. Under Article
Binding.
142, Supreme Court can give you a substantial justice,
That's it too.
complete justice.
Yes.
So I can go under Article 32. It's a quicker remedy for me.
Sir, Kukal, not 32 and 142 are two different things. See,
Quite
under Article 32, you go for writ petition.
Yes,
32 is writ by the Supreme Court.
correct.
They will issue writ only on fundamental rights.
I see. Okay,
142 will be applied in case of SLP filed,
I see.
because in that case,
Yes.
they can go even against law.
Even against law. That's what I'm saying.
They can go against law to do substantial justice. Like
Yes.
I will give you one example. We had decided certain cases where we said that the mandatory period of 6 months fixed under the mutual consent can be waived if both parties are agreeing. We pass judgments. So they did not set aside the judgment, but they held. Why we exercise that power was there was a judgment of Supreme Court saying it can be waived.
I see.
When we passed an order in High Court, the Supreme Court said no. High Court cannot do it. High Court is bound by law under 144, 142, 142. We can do anything. So we can decide against law. The High Court is bound to give 6 months time.
The same views expressed by
Thank you.
Supreme Court recently also, last week.
That's
Same
it.
view.
Hmm. So they
Obliged,
said
deeply
we can
obliged.
do under 142
Yes,
because we have right to do substantial justice even
Quite right.
contrary to law.
quite right.
But High Court is bound by the law. If statute says
Quite
6
right.
months, you have to say 6 months.
Quite right.
High Court cannot take that liberty under 2 to 6.
Deeply obliged.
Thank you, Jayakumar sir. So with your permission, there are 2-3 more questions we quickly
Please,
take up.
please.
Yes,
Then
thank
take
you.
up.
Thank you, sir. Sir, next I will unmute Mr. Vijay Kumar sir.
Okay.
Good evening, Lordship.
Just Vijay Kumar, how are you?
Fine, Lordship.
Good, good. Yeah.
I asked a simple question, my lord. In a disputed facts,
But that doesn't look good from you to ask simple
yes,
question.
that
You
is
should
that
ask
is
complicated. You
my
should ask
basic-
complicated.
by disputed facts. But when an alternative remedy is available for that, but I'm unable to comply with the alternative remedy. For example, if they say if I'm going to file a statutory appeal, you have to deposit certain percentage of amount. If I'm going to deposit certain percentage of amount, I have to wind up my business because there is no liquidity in my hand. In such a circumstances, can I plead before under 226? In the given circumstances, I may be approached to again to the respective authority to recheck my facts of the case.
You can see, you can do one thing. Because firstly, there is a provision under that act that if you make out a good ground and financial difficulty, they can waive. Appellate authority can waive.
There is no statutory.
The statutory fee also, I think so, because in sales tax, I think I have noticed once that they can waive off that deposit of money on a given circumstance, which normally they don't do, because the appellate authority normally doesn't do. You can come to High Court. In a given circumstances, High Court can interfere. There is no bar.
There is
See,
no
there
bar.
is absolutely no bar with the High Court to entertain any writ petition, even in a pending appeal. If High Court is convinced that substantial justice requires this thing, they can do it. These are those restrictions which I have told you are self-contained restrictions. They are not under any statute or under the Constitution. The High Courts and Supreme Court by judgment, presidents have imposed those conditions by their own self. So they can be overcome. There are cases where the High Court does interfere in a given circumstance, like you have told me the facts. Supposing your business is total capital is 2 crore, the fine is 2.5 crore. You say, how will I pay? You are not giving me hearing. The High Court can. But it has to be really glaring.
Yes, my balance sheet, everything is okay for that. That
That
match.
too. You can, High Court can entertain, as they say, no bar.
There's
But it
no
will
bar.
left to the discretion of the judge, whether he would or he would not. But there is no absolute bar that High Court cannot do it.
Thank you, Lordship.
Hmm.
Thank you, Lordship.
Thank you, sir. So next I will unmute Mr. Sekar. Mr. Sekar, kindly unmute. I have given you the access to unmute. Mr. Sekar?
Yeah, Mr. I'm. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please, sir, go ahead.
Your Lordship, I am basically a civil lawyer appearing on the original side.
Good.
Do you mean to? Can you see the glaring thing of writ jurisdiction? restitution becoming too much for getting reliefs?
Yes, yes, people want quick relief. The reason being, the civil suits are taking too long. Otherwise,
Humorous.
otherwise, people would love to go to civil suit because they are sure of getting trial. The High Court can dismiss the writ into 1 minute.
But
Civil suit they will have, especially in Chennai,
yes,
the original jurisdiction
yes,
sometimes is a fun. Because
Yeah.
I happened to get a case when I was sitting on the miscellaneous application.
Hmm.
I got an application for amendment of written statement after 12 years.
yeah,
So I told, how can you file after 12 years? What is the stage of the case? I told it must have been over up to High Court. I was told it was still at the stage of filing written statement. Because
or
the
even service of
because
summons.
miscellaneous applications are being pending here.
Yes. In
So
the
I
lighter
control
vein,
the delay of 12 years to get the written statement filed.
in the lighter vein, my lordship, somebody was telling a day will come when somebody will file a promissory note, writ petition on a promissory note for recovery of money by adding the collector of the place, because the revenue stamp is issued by the collector. They may implead the collector and ask for a decree.
That's more of a joke, sir. The joke of, because no people here the people were saying the way the writ petitions are coming, somebody may file a writ that my buffalo is not giving milk. You direct the buffalo to give milk.
They may even ask for a decree on a promissory note.
No, that they will not. And no High Court will entertain. Because you know you have to bring that body and the person who is actually affected to under authority under Article 12 of the Constitution of India. Because
Yes.
it will lie only against authority or government.
Yes. In the earlier years, I was told the original side judge will take up writ petitions for half a day in the morning and take up the original matters in the afternoon.
Right.
Because there were only few writ petitions those days, and
That's true.
that was the practice in those days.
No, people are becoming aware of their rights. Actually, what happens is earlier,
Yes.
I don't know about Tamil Nadu, but in Punjab, people used to say that God should save us from doctor and advocate so that we don't. They ruin the family. So people were not that keen to go to court.
Yes.
It was only compulsion. It was only in the criminal cases or land dispute that the people used to come to court.
Correct.
There was no other person, no other case.
Yes.
And these writs also were being used by rich people to have their rights settled with government. So they were very
Yes.
few. Now a person comes even for 5 rupees increment to High Court, says my increment has been wrongly stopped.
Thank you, my lord.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Your lordships, just to supplement the previous question,
Please.
there is a question from Vishwanathan sir on pre-deposit which Mr. Vijay Kumar sir asked.
Yes.
So, he wanted to supplement by asking if whether High Court can grant relief of waiver of pre-deposit even if it is mandatory as per statute.
Yes, they can.
Okay.
There is no bar. They have to give reasons for that. Because the reason required would be, if I am a judge and if I have to give a reason, I will say this condition, though mandatory and can't be waived, but it is resulting in insubstantial injustice and making that person close his business and stop his source of increment. So under Article 19, he has right to continue business, and therefore I would, in a special case, this permission can be waived. But
Thank
again,
you,
I have said it depends on the particular judge, how he takes it. Because in normal circumstances, the judges will say that it is statutory requirement, why don't you go? And especially when the provisions of this have been upheld. These were challenged in the High Courts and Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, yes, because the right of appeal is not a fundamental right, but right given by a statute, and therefore by a statute. So the best thing would be that instead of challenging only waiver, person should challenge the main fact and say that right of appeal is illusory for me because I am unable to get that relief. Therefore, I would like to challenge it in High Court for the judge to see whether he would like to interfere or not.
Thank you very much, sir. I think we have exhausted all the queries from the participants.
Okay.
Thank you for patiently answering all the questions, sir. Sir, I would call upon Mr. Natarajan just to give the concluding talk, and thereafter we go.
Right.
Very good.
Natarajan, sir?
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. A very good evening, Lordship, for sparing your time and leading a very, very informal session. And we felt that we are just as if we are talking with our good old friend. So that way, your Lordship has held the session. And in the beginning of the session, indirectly, your Lordship has given a very good credit for the Madras High Court and the state of Tamil Nadu in an indirect fashion. Your Lordship observed, your Lordship find only lot of writ of mandamus in the Madras High Court and not any other type. So the writ of mandamus means there is a lot of inaction and the High Court has to step in and make the people act. But there is not much of habeas corpus means there is not much of unlegal detentions in the state, and there is not much of certiorari means all orders are passed correct. There are not many bad orders passed, and the lack of quo warranto means nobody is occupying the position without any authority of law. So when we see these things, it gives really a reassurance. That's a very good indirect way of parting our place. Thank you, Your Lordship. And this session was attended by a lot of AAGs, government councils, and members from other boards and all. We wholeheartedly thank all the people. And coming to our own MTB members, today turned out to be the entire MTB team. All the 11 players have turned bowlers, and they were giving all sort of balls to your Lordship in the question and answer session. There were bouncers, there were yorkers, there were spins, and your Lordship was fabulous. And your Lordship has not missed any one of the balls, and every ball your Lordship has scored either a boundary or a sixer. Were great answers. And our chief bowler, Mr. V.S. Jayakumar, even though we have told all the bowlers to bowl only 1 over, in 1 over he bowled 12 balls with his wide-ranging questions, and your Lordship faced all the 12 balls beautifully. So thank all the members of MTB who have been very active in the session today, and I thank all the people who have participated. It was a very enlightening session. Thank you, Your Lordship.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was my pleasure to be with you.
Sir, I'm just sorry, sir. There's one last question from Mr. Pramod Chopra. I'm just sorry to take it up at
Please take it. No problem.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening.
Sir, Pramod Chopra here, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I remember you were sitting in the original site.
Yes.
At that time, that Section 9 application under Arbitration Act.
Yes.
Sir, where the Advocate Commissioner was appointed by general practice in our High Court was appointed Advocate Commissioner and for realization.
Yes.
But I remember you have passed one order saying that the High Court is not collecting agent. But then, how to give effect to Section 9? I do not know why you are very particular about that. In fact, when you are sitting that portfolio, no more applications are filed under Section 9 for appointment Advocate Commissioner.
Actually, let me tell you, Section 9 application is maintainable. My problem was because I wanted to, because the High Court sits as equity law. See, what was happening is that by shortcut method, what was being done was a poor man was being harassed by these financiers. They would give money and take away that vehicle. The commissioner will go and take away that vehicle. That man never got even chance to come and contest. This was absolute injustice being done. In my opinion, maybe I was wrong to appeal, because question was that High Court judge sit there to do justice. And
Correct.
justice should be with whom? Not with Sundaram doing this finance companies, but a pure auto rickshaw man who is making two
Correct,
ends
sir.
meet. See, out of 2 lakhs, that man has paid 1.50. 50,000 he has not paid. You have made interest of 1 lakh. Appoint a local commissioner, give him 10,000, add 10,000 to his account, take away his auto, and he is left very helpless.
Correct. In that context, it is right, sir. The interest of justice, you see that in that way it was right. But that
And
only you have.
section 9 is always in interest of justice.
Yes, sir.
Internal relief is interest of justice only.
Correct. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I
Welcome.
thought in fact, I had experience on that.
Okay, good. Thank you. So you must be cursing me.
No. Incidentally, I got I got that money, and there was attachment. It happened, but thereafter you have become very strict on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, Your Lordships.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking up that final query also.
Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting all of you.
Yes, sir.
Remind me of my old memories.
Yes. I thank all the participants for joining us, and I thank Mr. Natarajan for that wonderful vote of thanks. And I thank once again for all joining us today. This session will be uploaded in our YouTube channel. We will share the link as and when it is uploaded. Thank you very much. Stay safe and stay home. Take care.